Machiavelli wrote the darkest psychology book ever published, and manipulators have been using it as their Bible for 500 years. Here are the 5 rules they don't want you to know. If you've ever felt controlled, confused, or questioned your own reality around certain people, this will explain everything. Here's something wild. In 1513, an Italian diplomat named Niccolò Machiavelli sat down in exile and wrote a book that would change how we understand power forever. The Prince wasn't a book about being a good leader. It was a handbook on how to gain power, keep it, and crush anyone who got in your way. It was so controversial that the Catholic Church banned it. People called it evil. Some even said Machiavelli was the devil himself. But here's the thing. 500 years later, toxic people are still using his exact playbook. Your narcissistic ex, following Machiavelli, that manipulative co-worker who always seems 10 steps ahead. Machiavelli, that friend who makes you feel guilty every single time you set a boundary. You guessed it. And the craziest part? Most of them have never even read the book. These manipulation tactics have just become built into how certain people operate. So today, we're going to break down the 5 most dangerous rules from Machiavelli's playbook that manipulators still use in 2026. And once you see these patterns, you won't be able to unsee them. Trust me on this one. Let's start with rule number 1. And honestly, this might be the most important one. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does well to mask his conduct under the appearance of openness." Translation: never let people know what you're really after. Think about it. The most dangerous manipulators you've ever met, they didn't walk up to you on day 1 and say, "Hey, I'm going to gaslight you, isolate you from your friends, and destroy your self-esteem." That's not how this works. Instead, they came in looking like the perfect friend, the supportive partner, the mentor who wants to help your career. Let me provide a real-world example. Sarah starts dating Jake. Jake seems amazing at first, attentive, caring, constantly texting to check in. Sarah's friends think he's great, but here's what Sarah doesn't see yet. Jake's not checking in because he cares. He's gathering information, learning her patterns, building a map of her life. 6 months in, Jake knows everything. Her insecurities, her friends' dynamics, where she goes, who does she talk to? And he's been using that information the whole time, slowly suggesting she's too dependent on her best friend, casually mentioning how that male co-worker probably has a crush on her, always having a reason why she shouldn't go to that family event. Jake's true intention: complete control. But he hid it behind concern, love, and protection. This is textbook Machiavelli. The manipulation only works if you don't see it coming. So how do you spot this? Look for the gap. The gap between what someone says and what they do, between their public image and their private behavior, between how they treat you when others are watching versus when you're alone. Manipulators are performing, always. And if you watch closely enough, you'll catch them breaking character. Now let's talk about rule number 2, and this one's sneaky. Machiavelli said, "The best fortress is to be found in the love of the people." But he didn't mean real love, he meant dependency. If people need you, they can't leave you. Modern manipulators are obsessed with this. They don't just want your attention or your time. They want you to feel like you literally cannot function without them. Here's how it plays out. Month 1. Your new partner is incredibly generous, paying for everything, driving you everywhere, handling things you used to handle yourself. It feels like love, like being taken care of. Month 6. You realize you don't have access to your own bank account anymore. Or you let your car insurance lapse because we only need one car. Or you stop talking to your friends because your partner doesn't trust them, and it was causing too many fights. Month 12. You want to leave, but you can't. You don't have money. You don't have transportation. Your support system is gone. You don't even remember how to do certain things anymore because they've been helping you for so long. This is a manufactured dependency, and it happens in workplaces too. That boss who makes themselves the bottleneck for every decision, who never trains anyone else on critical systems, who keeps all the important relationships and information to themselves. They're not just bad at delegating, they're making themselves irreplaceable, because if you need them, they have power over you. The psychology here is called learned helplessness. When you depend on someone for long enough, your brain actually starts to believe you're incapable of doing things on your own, even things you used to do just fine. And here's the really messed up part. The manipulator will often point to your dependency as proof that you need them. See, you can't even handle this without me. What would you do if I weren't here? They created the problem. Then they sold you the solution, which is just more of them. Red flag. Anyone who's constantly helping you in ways that reduce your autonomy. Real support makes you stronger and more independent. Manipulation makes you weaker and more dependent. Big difference. Alright, rule number 3. This is where it gets really dark. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." He understood something crucial. When people are emotional, they're vulnerable. And if you can control someone's emotions, you can control their decisions. Manipulators are emotional puppet masters. They don't just react to your feelings, they create them. On purpose. Let me show you how this works. Guilt is probably the most common weapon. Your mom calls, "I guess I'll just spend Thanksgiving alone this year, but don't worry about me, I'm used to it." She's not giving you information, she's installing guilt. And that guilt will make you do what she wants, even if it's not what you want. Then there's fear. If you leave me, you'll never find anyone else who puts up with you as I do. If you report this to HR, I'll make sure you never work in this industry again. Fear makes people freeze, makes them stay in bad situations because the unknown feels more dangerous than the known. Or rage. Some manipulators use anger like a weapon. They blow up over small things, so you're constantly walking on eggshells, managing their emotions instead of living your life. You stop doing things that might upset them. You shrink yourself down to avoid the explosion. And here's the sophisticated version. Intermittent reinforcement. This is when someone switches between hot and cold, good and bad, loving and cruel. Your brain gets addicted to the good moments because they're unpredictable. It's literally the same psychology that makes slot machines addictive. That partner who's amazing for 3 days, then cruel for 2, then amazing again. That's not instability, that's strategy. Because you'll do anything to get back to those good days. You'll accept less, you'll blame yourself, you'll keep trying to fix things. The emotional manipulation playbook is this: identify what someone fears, wants, or feels guilty about, then use it repeatedly. The antidote. Notice when your emotions spike dramatically in someone's presence. Notice when you feel guilty but can't quite figure out why. Notice when fear or anger seems disproportionate to what's actually happening. Your emotions are giving you information. The question is, Are they responding to reality or to someone else's agenda? Rule number 4 is probably Machiavelli's most famous idea. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." And then he said something even more chilling. "It is unnecessary to have all the good qualities I have enumerated, but it is very necessary to appear to have them." Translation: don't actually be good, just look good. This is the manipulator's mask, and in 2026, with social media, this mask has never been easier to maintain. You know, that person who posts constantly about mental health awareness, kindness, and supporting others, then privately sends vicious messages to anyone who disagrees with them. That's Machiavellian virtue signaling. Or that co-worker who's all smiles in meetings, volunteers for everything, always talks about the team. But the second the boss leaves the room, they're taking credit for your work and throwing people under the bus. Classic. The appearance of virtue is powerful. It gives manipulators credibility, makes them trustworthy, gets them into positions where they can do real damage. Here's a specific example. Let's call him David. David runs a non-profit. He gives these beautiful speeches about helping the community, ending poverty, changing lives. His social media is full of inspirational quotes and photos with vulnerable populations. Donors love him. The board trusts him completely. Behind the scenes, David's paying himself twice the industry standard, treating his staff terribly, using donor money for personal expenses. But nobody questions it because David looks like a saint. This is what Machiavelli understood. People judge you by appearances, not reality. So if you control the appearance, you control their perception. The challenge for the rest of us is that we want to believe in good people. We want to trust that someone doing good work has good intentions, and manipulators exploit that. So here's what to watch for. Does someone's public persona feel performed, like they're always on stage? Do they talk a lot about their values, but their actions don't quite match? Do they get defensive or aggressive when their virtue is questioned? Real integrity doesn't need to announce itself constantly. It just exists. Performative virtue, on the other hand, needs an audience. Pay attention to what people do when nobody's watching. That's who they actually are. And now we get to rule number 5, probably the cruelest one. Machiavelli advised leaders to attack enemies when they're weak, when they're recovering from another battle, when they can't defend themselves effectively. Modern manipulators do the exact same thing to the people closest to them. You just lost your job. That's when your partner starts criticizing you more, making you feel worthless, maybe even threatening to leave because you're vulnerable and you'll accept worse treatment to avoid being completely alone. Your parent just died. That's when the toxic family member swoops in to contest the will, create drama, or try to control the narrative because you're grieving and don't have the energy to fight back. Are you dealing with a health crisis? Perfect time for that friend to ask for money, make everything about themselves, or disappear entirely until you are useful again. This is predatory behavior. These people aren't unlucky with timing, they're strategic. They wait for your defenses to drop, for your resources to be depleted, for you to be too exhausted or overwhelmed to see clearly. The psychology behind this is simple. During a crisis, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes rational decisions, basically goes offline. You're in survival mode, fight or flight. You're not thinking long term, you're just trying to get through today. Manipulators know this, so that's when they make their move. Get you to sign something, agree to something, believe something about yourself that isn't true. How do you protect yourself? First, recognize that if you're going through something difficult, you are more vulnerable. That's not weakness, that's human. Second, delay major decisions when possible. Third, lean on people who have proven themselves over time, not opportunists who suddenly appeared when you got weak. And if someone's treatment of you gets worse when your life gets harder, that tells you everything you need to know about who they really are. So there you have it. 5 rules from a 500-year-old book that manipulators still use every single day. Hide your intentions, create dependency, weaponize emotions, look virtuous, strike when they're vulnerable. Here's the thing Machiavelli got right. These tactics work, and that's why they're still around. But here's what he got wrong. He thought power was the only thing that mattered. The truth. Awareness is more powerful than manipulation. Now that you know these rules, you can see them coming. You can protect yourself. You can spot the patterns before they trap you. And maybe, just maybe, you can choose to live by different rules entirely. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. Because understanding dark psychology isn't about becoming manipulative yourself. It's about making sure nobody can use these tactics on you ever again. Stay aware out there. Subscribe for more.